A good evening to you, and thank you for joining us here on the WQAD 8 Plus app and on our Facebook page as well. And yes, we're here to talk about a weather impact alert that we do have issued for your Wednesday. And we're going to break down the details of that, maybe answer some of your questions. You can send them into our Facebook. It's on our Facebook page, and again, not WQAD, but we're going to be breaking down this weather impact alert here with this little severe weather update for you. And we have good news here. It's not going to be an extreme event, kind of like what we saw on Wednesday. And that's one thing. No, Andrew is emphasizing, James Morgan and I as well. We're all emphasizing here that this is not going to be an event like we saw on Friday. So let's kind of break down the bottom line comparing these two events. Yeah, this will not be a repeat of Friday in terms of that flooding potential in the storm coverage. We're looking at potentially scattered strong to severe storms here with this system. On Friday, we obviously saw the widespread severe thunderstorms and the heavy rainfall. And something else to keep in note, on Friday, we saw those storms. They were moving relatively slow, only 30 to 35 miles per hour. With these storms, we could be seeing movement 45 to maybe even 50 miles per hour with these storms, which means that heavier portion of the thunderstorm with the heaviest rainfall, those columns of rainfall, are going to be moving quicker, which limits that flash flooding potential like we saw on Friday. And again, the coverage also will be scattered. So that's something to take in mind. I know we still have a lot of kind of recovery efforts still going on in Davenport, maybe some storm anxiety as well. And I'm kind of here to tell you, and what we will continue to tell you is, yes, there is some severe potential tomorrow, but it's not looking to be as significant or as large of an event as we saw on Friday. So keep that in mind. That doesn't mean you don't stay weather aware, but good news is it's not looking to be as significant as we saw on Friday. So let's kind of get into the details of this weather impact alert and those potential storms tracking through the area. And I'm going to start with our live radar right now. Again, we saw some quiet conditions here throughout the day. And as we continue through the overnight hours, there's a little note I want to make a note of here. A little topic. Notice further to our south, you notice that little weak disturbance carrying into portions of central and southern Illinois. We could be seeing a very, very stray isolated shower make its way from that. But what we're really focusing on is take a look over at Nebraska, kind of out near Huron, South Dakota right now. That's where this area of low pressure has set itself up. And along that area of low pressure, we're already seeing some storm development. We saw some potentially severe thunderstorms already developing there with that line. Now, what comes out of that line and what remains and how it develops overnight carrying into tomorrow morning will be very important in determining the timing here tomorrow and the severity of the storms that we will be seeing. Because it's all going to be off that area of low pressure that's going to track its way here towards the area a little bit further to our north, but there's going to be a cold front and a little bit of a short wave of energy associated with it. And that's where we're seeing our thunderstorm development. So let's kind of break down these severe storm threats. Here's that level 3 out of 5 threat in portions of Nebraska today. But as we get, today, and then as we get into your Wednesday, that's where we see that level 2 out of 5 threat. It's going to be as this cold front and that short wave of energy make their way through. And notice that low, it's going to trend a little bit further to our north, but we still do have that 2 out of 5 threat throughout a large portion here of the region. And mainly focusing here on our friends on the Illinois side of the river. That's where I see the best severe potential with this and kind of where we've seen the latest trends, not only on our house model, but the rapid refresh model as well for kind of the placement of the stronger thunderstorms tomorrow. This is again why we have that weather impact alert. The timing as of right now is 1 to 6 p.m. Again, this is going to be very dependent on how those storms that we're currently seeing over Nebraska move. If they shift a little bit earlier, we might be moving that impact alert. If they should shift a little bit later, well, then we might be kind of keeping this time frame we're looking at right now. So that's something we will be watching out for. About an hour from now, we'll get our next run of the short-term high-resolution model. So at the 10 o'clock show, I'll let you know if we have any updates there. But the impacts, we do know this for sure. Strong winds are what we're going to be looking at here as this line makes its way through. We can't rule out maybe some hail. There is relatively weak vertical shear with this system, so that means updraft won't be as strong. But we can't rule out maybe some hail and also, again, some of those isolated tornadoes. We are seeing the potential for some low-level clouds here with all the moisture that we are seeing. So yeah, that could mean maybe an isolated weak tornado. And again, emphasis weak tornado or 2 with this. And it's only a couple at most that we really expect here as of right now, but they shouldn't be too strong, not like the EF2 that we saw there on Friday, at least from what we're seeing right now. What you need to do is stay updated on the forecast, just like you are doing here right now. This is what we're going to be kind of watching, and stay tuned on the Storm Track 8 app and the WQAD 8 Plus app. Here's the latest on the threats that we're tracking. Again, a level 2 out of 5 for wind damage is going to be the highest threat. There's a little bit of an isolated chance for those tornadoes and large hail here as well. Here's the 2 out of 5 wind damage. That's where we're seeing that level 2 out of 5 storm threat area. Then let's jump to tornadoes. Again, we are potentially watching for this. It's very isolated again, maybe 1 or 2 weak tornadoes, but this is what we are looking at when it comes to the tornado threat. Again, if we do see them, they'll be weak and very short lasted. Maybe an EF0 to EF1 is kind of what we are looking at when we say weak tornadoes. Let's take a look at some of the storm ingredients that are really important when it comes to, depending the timing of these storms and also the intensity of them. When you have higher storm energy, this is one of the major components that we look at here. It's the storm energy. That allows the convection, allows these storms to develop into be those strong and potentially severe storms. If you don't have a lot of storm energy, you're not going to be seeing strong to severe storms. So here we are right around 11 a.m. and notice that purplish color. That's that extreme potential when it comes to storm energy. We're going to be seeing a lot of heat tomorrow. We're seeing highs back into the upper 80s to maybe even the low 90s for some. That's why we see that kind of purplish color here right around that 11 o'clock time frame. And again, we have noticed that trend shift a little bit earlier here. And notice as that line makes its way through, that's where we start to see the storm energy. You can see where we're getting that gap in the storm energy is where we expect the storms to move through again. This is at 1 o'clock on your Wednesday. That's when we're starting that impact alert. Notice as that bow makes its way through, takes away a lot of our storm energy. But that's just one of the many storm ingredients here that we look at. So let's take a look at some of those other ones. Again, temperature, that helps build that storm energy up. Dew point, that's really important because on Friday we saw those dew points well into the upper 70s. That means a lot of moisture in the air and a lot of precipitable water, or PWATS is what we call it. Look at the available water here, much lower. We were seeing PWATS on Friday right around 2 to 0.25 inches to maybe 2.5 inches. This one, it's trending a little bit lower primarily as we get through your day on Wednesday. But you notice we do build up that storm energy right around that noon time frame, 12 o'clock time frame. Then as those storms move through, you're going to notice this starts to drop a little bit. See that temperature drop right around 1:30 here? That's indicative of maybe some storms tracking their way through. Then we'll heat back up in the afternoon. But we think maybe by then, once those storms roll through, that the severe threat will be over. So let's track exactly the timing. This is the latest of our house model run. Our house model run did fantastic with Friday storms. So this is a model that we have been leaning to this year, and this is what we're going to be leaning to again. Here's some of those isolated showers that we were talking about earlier this evening, or I guess that are going to be later this evening, earlier here in this update. Then we get towards your Wednesday, and this is the latest house model run. Here we are right around 12 o'clock. There's something I want you to note here is a little bit of some curvature with that cell further to our south. Let me get my pointer up here. Right here, you notice a little bit of bending right there. That maybe indicates strong winds. When we kind of see those little bowing points on these cells, that's what we look for when we're looking for damaging winds. And again, that's the #1 threat level that we are looking at here. And this is again at 12 o'clock on your Wednesday, and it's trending further to the south, that heavier portion kind of right here on your Wednesday. As we move it a little bit forward, here we are at 1 o'clock. That's when that line's going to try and develop. And along that line is, again, damaging winds, maybe an isolated tornado or two. This is that time frame for it. Again, 1 o'clock on your Wednesday. The latest house model run, though, this is what's interesting. It's the new development. It's kind of pushed it out a little bit quicker than earlier than we thought. This is right around 2 p.m. here on your Wednesday. You can notice most of the area is cleared out as that storm makes its way through, as that cold front pushes this storm on its way out of the viewing area. Then as we get to 3, 4 o'clock, we look to clear up. And as we continue into the evening, storms kind of struggle to refire. We already have that boundary move through. We're losing a lot of the lifting or the convergence that allows these storms here to develop. So this is what we're looking at here in terms of timing. So it's going to go back through this again. Keep an eye on your hometown, your county as we watch this line develop. So this is on 10 a.m. Again, we are seeing a little bit of an earlier trend that I was talking about here earlier. We might shift this weather impact alert up depending on the 9 o'clock model run. But 10 a.m. further to the south, that development continues to kind of track its way out from, say, Henry County and Iowa down towards Knox County in Illinois, right around that 12 o'clock time frame. Once we hit that 1 o'clock time frame, that's when we see the kind of the best coverage here. And notice they're scattered still in nature. See those kind of heavier red colorings? That's what we usually look for when we're looking for kind of stronger thunderstorms. And notice along that line, we don't really see that on a relatively scattered basis until this 1 o'clock time frame. So that's kind of really what we're going to be watching for here tomorrow is the timing with this and the damaging wind potential. Notice the dew points as well. This is another talking point I kind of want to keep you guys updated on, because then again, we're still dealing with maybe some storm anxiety from your Friday. Here's the dew points that we're expecting on your Wednesday, only into the low 70s. The dew points we saw on Friday, those were 75 plus here throughout the area. That means less precipitable water when you have the lower dew points. So when we're looking at these lower dew points, that kind of helps us lessen that worry, you could say, of that flash flooding potential, because we saw so much of that rainfall on the ground, and the ground's still pretty saturated. So this is good news. Yes, that's a little bit high, but it's good news compared to what we saw on Friday. So let's kind of take you through what we could see rainfall potential here as we get into your Thursday. It looks like the graph model run here doesn't want to update. So let me go in here and edit this for you. That's one of the beauties here of these streams, is that we can fix these things on the go here. So let's jump back to the latest run here. And there it goes. There you can see the future rainfall potential. It's trending a little bit further to our south. Notice again, our friends out in Henry County, Des Moines County, Iowa, kind of trending out towards Henderson, Warren, and Knox County further to the south. This is where our house model run, as of right now, has the heavier rainfall. Further to the north, where we saw the highest totals here on Friday, it's trending a little bit drier. This is good news. This is something we want to see. So again, with this system, we want to emphasize that this is not going to be a super widespread severe event like we saw on Friday. It's going to be a little bit better. Yes, still stay weather aware. Download that Storm Track 8 app on your phone so you can get those alerts. But we are trending in the right direction when it comes to widespread severe coverage. We're not going to be looking at that. We're looking at scattered severe storms here at their best. That's what we're seeing with that level 2 out of 5 threat. So there's kind of an overall outlook. I'm going to go through some of your guys' questions now, because I know we have a ton. And I will go through the timing again as well, because I know a lot of you guys want to know your exact hometown, your timing. It's a long time to kind of get through all those. So what we're going to do here is I'll go through it a couple more times, the timing and breakdown on the radar where you could be seeing your rainfall and those potentially strong storms tomorrow. But let me go through the Facebook right now here and kind of pull up some of these questions. Troy was asking, what about Middletown? Yes, you guys will be seeing maybe some of those heavier pockets of rainfall and some of those stronger storms, potentially severe, but again, it's trending a little bit further to the south. So yes, you guys are some of those hometowns. Michelle was wondering, what about Coyne Center? Yeah, we do have the potential here in the metro for maybe a quick passing thunderstorm, but nothing too crazy. If you, again, we'll pull up this future track here so you guys can get a better idea, and we'll go through this again. That way I can kind of help get through all these questions about each individual hometown that we're looking at. So let's go through here again. So there we are right around that 10 to 11 o'clock time frame for you, Troy, out in Middletown. Notice that's where we're seeing maybe some thunderstorm activity. This kind of cell right here is what I'm actually has been catching my eye a little bit for maybe that damaging wind potential. Again, as we see it develop here, as we get to the Illinois side of the river, right around that 12 to 1 o'clock time frame, that's where we start to see that bowing kind of echo. A little bit, not a full bow echo, but a little bit of, the bending in the front line of those heavier storms there. That's what we're looking for the wind. So Troy, yeah, right around, I'd say, that 10 o'clock to maybe 12 o'clock time frame if we're going off this latest house model run here. Here in the metro, timing right around that noon time frame. Here we are at 12, right over us here in the Quad Cities, but it's moving very quickly. So again, you shouldn't be seeing too big of an impact there. Sierra was wondering, hoping it's not too bad. The tornado on Friday was right next to your apartment. I am so sad to hear that, and I hope everything is okay with you. I know there's a lot of storm anxiety from Friday again, as I've been talking about here, but we aren't going to be seeing something like we saw on Friday. Not a widespread kind of 15-year rainfall event or widespread severe thunderstorm activity. We're not going to be seeing too much of that here on our Friday, at least from or on our Wednesday, from everything we are seeing here right now. Let's keep it going now. Billy had a question. Hey, Billy, always good to see you. He's one of our great friends out in Clinton that loves to send us some awesome reports. Is there any possibility of some outflow boundaries from tonight's storms to come through the area and further enhance our severe risk? So far, we haven't seen too much in terms of outflow boundaries. You can notice here, usually our house model is actually very good at kind of picking that up. And we aren't seeing too much of that. Also, those storms are currently all the way out in Nebraska. So we shouldn't be seeing too significant of an outflow from those larger storms. And our storms to our south are kind of a little bit scattered. They aren't very organized in nature. Again, we could get a very minor shortwave of energy with a quick isolated shower, but beyond that, we really aren't expecting too much from that. Let's keep on going down here. Hello, Linnell. Always good to hear from you. Tyler was wondering, could the level 2 threat possibly shift more eastward, and how much rainfall is possible through Friday? So actually, I wouldn't be surprised. Again, this is our latest house model running. Tyler, I can actually do this too. We can pull up the rapid refresh model. These are the two models that we look at when it comes to severe weather, and we can kind of compare them for you. I guess models we look at in general when it comes to your short-term forecast. Here we are at 1 p.m. This is our in-house model. Let me go down here and switch us to our rapid refresh model. So let me go to the extended HRRR. That's what we call the rapid refresh model, the HRRR. That's our model we look at there. And here we are. Look at the timing on this one. It shows a little bit of that line developing right around 12, but it shows kind of the stronger activity, again, further to our north and also developing to our east. So honestly, Tyler, yeah, I could see that potential. We're going to wait to see that 9 o'clock one, and I'm guessing that's what our friends at the Storm Prediction Center with the National Weather Service and NOAA are looking at too. But if we see that shift further to the east and that kind of line trending to develop further to our east as well, yeah, I think that level 2 threat maybe for our friends on the Iowa side gets shifted a little bit further to the east. That's something, again, we got to wait to see for this 9 o'clock run. This is just the latest data that I'm giving you guys, but if that does happen again for the 9 o'clock run that we get in, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. Lynn was wondering, is Joe Davies County Fair, it's Joe Davies County Fair weekend and Elizabeth Fair weekend, will fair events be affected? Honestly, we are looking at some scattered thunderstorm potential on your Saturday and even your Sunday, maybe an isolated thunderstorm chance. But as of right now, we aren't really trying to dig too deep into that because we could have another kind of ring of fire pattern set up here. So as this cold front tracks its way through, wherever that kind of stalls its way out, we'll be determining kind of what our weekend's going to be looking like. But we do have some scattered chances both Saturday and maybe even to Sunday and carrying into next week as well. So that's something we will be watching. Paul was wondering, what about all that rain up north? Will that raise our flood threat for Sterling? So flood threat through Sterling, I don't think you guys should be seeing too much of one. Again, that rain's going to kind of, maybe along the Mississippi, I think we could be seeing maybe more of that kind of downflow from that river. I know we are kind of watching river levels right now. So far, the rock has actually been relatively okay. We might be nearing action level, but we aren't nearing kind of any major flood stage with actually any of our rivers right now. So that is good news there. We'll be watching that, though, here in the days ahead. This is our director, Braden Barger, wondering about his 9 a.m. tea time. Where was my invite? I'm kidding. But yeah, 9 a.m. tomorrow, I think we should be good. Let's go through. This is our rapid refresh model, but I can switch this to our in-house model here as well. Let's jump to the graph. That's what we call our in-house model here. And notice, yeah, not too much going on right around 9 a.m. So that's good news there. Again, the timing, we're waiting to see in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so. I'll get our next round of data in. And if this trend continues, I might, again, have to shift this. This is very dependent on the timing of that boundary, but we might have to shift that impact alert just a little bit further up, maybe to be give or take. I might throw it around, I'd say 11 to 4 p.m. might be the new time frame that I could be looking at here. I chatted with Andrew a little bit about that as well, but this is something we will be watching maybe for the change there. But overall, we got to kind of wait and see what more data says. This is one round, and we do like to trust this round, but we kind of want to have a little bit more data before we make any more too significant changes. Let's see. Michelle was wondering, when we have a hot summer, does that mean a colder winter? It's actually a great question. I think that's a great Ask Andrew question. So I might pitch that to him, and maybe he can get that answer for you either on Monday or Wednesday next week. I know tomorrow there's going to be an Ask Andrew Live. That's going to be at 9 o'clock. He'll have another update for you guys on the severe weather, so that's something to keep an eye for. But yeah, actually that's some good data digging I might have to do. That's a fantastic question, though, Michelle. I really like that. I might help out Andrew with that one and do some data digging. Looks like as of right now, I don't think I have missed any questions. New comment. Ooh, Linnell gave me one more. With the storms tomorrow, do you think that the NWS storm spotters will be activated, and should I be prepared? Honestly, I think it's kind of a damaging wind event. I don't know if you need as many storm spotters. There is that isolated maybe tornado threat. That's something we will be watching. But if this trend kind of continues, I know, Linnell, you're further up to the north here, but if that trend continues to kind of clear our area for that heaviest portion of the line right around 2 p.m. outside of the viewing area, I think the Chicagoland NWS office could maybe issue their storm spotters, but for us, it's just going to be damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. I don't think we should be too worried. So yeah, I'm going to actually go up here and give you guys one more recap here because I want to kind of explain this again because I know we saw a big significant event Friday. So I'm going to give you one more kind of explanation here of what we're looking at because I know a lot of people are still worried about it. I've seen it on Facebook, and we're going to continue to reiterate this to you guys. This is not going to be the same as Friday. We are not looking at the coverage in terms of flooding. We are not looking at that. Again, these storms are going to be moving a lot quicker than what we saw here on Friday. We're looking at storms between maybe 45 to 50 miles per hour potentially with this storm. That's much quicker than what we saw on Friday. Also, the potential water in the atmosphere or the precipitable water in the atmosphere, much lower here with this storm as well. And also coverage is going to be much weaker, and it's going to be a thinner line of storms if that line does develop. So good news there is we're not looking at an event similar to Friday, damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour and maybe a weak isolated tornado in two. And that's, again, a maybe. So yes, still stay weather aware here as we get into your Wednesday, but we will not likely be seeing something similar to Friday. So I hope that gives you a little bit of ease. What we try and do is obviously help you be prepared, not scared. So again, be prepared, but you don't need to per se worry about anything like we did on Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on the WQAD Facebook and the WQAD 8 Plus app. Tune in at 10 tonight to see if we have any updates when that new data comes in with our weather impact alert, and tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. for Ask Andrew. He'll have plenty more to answer for you then. Thank you for watching us.